Pitaya.
Hi everyone, I'm Joanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And this is Hyphenated, the podcast about living in the hyphen.
And today we have a very special guest who's also our friend.
Very good friend.
Carolina Ravassa.
Both of our friends.
Yes.
Which is like rare. Usually it's like, Jenny is like, I want to bring my friend. And then I'm like, I want to bring my friend. And then this time we were like, let's bring our friend. Carolina Ravassa is a Colombian-American actor and voice actor. You've seen her on TV, you've listened to her on cartoons, on video games, and she's best known for voicing the iconic character of Sombra of OVERWATCH, which is one of the most played video games in history.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Carolina Ravassa, welcome to Hyphenated.
Ay, Dios mío.
Ay, Dios mío.
Lo hemos logrado.
Finally.
No, seriously, we've been trying to figure out a time us three could get on a Zoom chat probably for like 6 or 7 months. So I'm really happy you're here. We've been wanting to talk to you for a very, very long time. I mean, I see you very regularly on Hamster and Gretel, and you and Jenny, you guys live in LA. And so I always get jealous because I feel like you guys know each other better than me and Carolina used to know each other. But, I'm okay with it.
Oh, my God.
I actually think I see you more, Joanna, than I see Jenny, even though we live in the same city.
Yeah.
That sounds very LA to me.
It is.
It is.
So, Caro, I think you're such a multi-hyphenate. I think you really represent what this podcast started out as and then sort of devolved into me and Jenny talking BS every week.
Oh, my God.
Awesome.
But I just, I find your career and your trajectory super interesting. I met you in New York many, many, many years ago. And you were doing, oh my God, what was it? A Step Up, like that.
Step Up 3D.
Step Up 3D. You were like sort
with
of.
Allison Stoner, who is with us on Hamster and Gretel. I was her best friend. My name was Kristen. Or she was Kristen. She was Camille. I was Kristen. I can't remember.
They sound the same to me.
Yeah.
But I met you when you were sort of, trying
Hustling.
to make it and hustling as an actor.
Yeah.
And you've sort of throughout the years become a very prominent voiceover actor. And, Jenny and I, we do voiceover. We do, not as much as you. You've sort of really dominated. And, for me, I think one of the most interesting things about your history is Sombra and Overwatch and the gaming world and space. So can you tell us a little bit about how you went from Step Up 3 to
3D.
then being like
3D.
Sorry, 3D. I keep on forgetting 3D.
Yeah.
Step Up 3D. Wait, is it Step Up 3 3D or Step Up 3D?
I mean, it is the third, so it could be just Step Up 3, but it's Step Up 3D. It just happens to work perfectly.
It's a pun.
It's a pun. They're very funny. They're very punny over there at Disney.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's funny. I was waiting tables still when I got Step Up. And so I waited tables for like 6 or 7 years in New York City, evenings and weekends. And then I could audition during the day. And if I got a gig, then you, oh my God, can somebody cover for me? Like the typical actor thing. I lived it in New York. I did catering. I did babysitting, like all the jobs you can imagine.
Wow.
And I was auditioning for film and TV. And it was usually I'd go in for the Latina roles that were like the cleaning lady or the prostitute.
As one does, of course.
As one does, because those were the only ones, like Detective Rodriguez or like ethnic prostitute. I never looked Rodriguez enough to play the detective or the cop or the whatever. Like that was the feedback I got all the time for film and TV. Like it wasn't like, oh, it wasn't, her audition wasn't good. That my manager just got feedback like she was great. She didn't look Puerto Rican enough. She didn't look Mexican enough. And so I was having a crisis. I remember crying on the corner of 6th and 23rd one day when I got feedback, like, because I dyed my hair brown and I had gone tanning, and they're like, they said you look too Italian, and I'm like,
Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah.
Ay, Dios mío.
You went Jersey Shore.
Well, I got the hoops and I had the high ponytail and I was doing my Noyovic and Rosie Pavez, anyway, but so that's actually where my web series started. And it's a hyphenate. It's called Hispanglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
Because I was not Hispanic enough or Anglo-Saxon enough. So I was like, well, I'm both. So that's kind of where I, and I think it's funny. I think Sketch on my web series sort of helped me remind myself that I love voices, because I was just auditioning for straight characters. And by straight, I don't mean gay or straight. I mean, just like drama,
Yeah,
the straight man. And I was like, So that's kind of what I was pursuing, and it just wasn't happening. And I got so tired of it. I decided to do this web series by myself only, so I wouldn't have to bug my friends to work for free. It wasn't like, oh, let me do a one woman show to show my talent. It was like, I can't beg my friends to act for free because I'm going to do this with my iPhone at my house. Like, I don't have the funds. So I was like, well, what if I play the manager and myself? Oh, and then the waitress and myself. And so
that sounds like a little bit like someone else on this conversation.
Oh my
basically,
God.
Jenny Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Well, that's what brought us together.
Yes. I used to watch your stuff. When I first launched Hispanglo, people were like, I had already watched you on Me Too or whatever it was on. And I remember like, oh my God, I want to work with her. And I remember writing to Me Too, but like it was probably info@metoo.com and nobody read it or something.
Yeah, who knows?
So I remember just like looking up to the people who were doing similar things so that we could connect, you know, Arturo Castro doing Alternatino. Like I had my 8 episodes of Hispanglo-Saxon when I did his first episode of Alternatino. But I remember thinking, okay, we're all doing similar things because we got to create our own stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I think that's where I started really leaning into my accents, you know, because like I played this French film director, and then I got to know your weekend chick who's like talking like this, so she's a casting director. And then all of a sudden I started like, oh, what accents can I do? So then I basically discovered I love sketch comedy and I didn't know it. And that led me to, oh, what if I put you up here? Oh, what if I talk to him here? You know, like, so, like my manager, who's like the one on the Joey manager on Friends, you know, she's like a smoker, she's Jewish or whatever. So that led me to like, oh, I can do voices. And unless I do sketch, I'm never going to sound like that looking like this. So True. Then it kind of like, that was like the beginnings of me remembering that as a kid, I loved animation, and that I always used to do voices as a kid, making fun of my parents' friends, or just like when I tell stories, I can't say, yeah, so I was talking to Joanna, she was like, mira, chama, tenemos que hacer esta cosa. And I kind of try to do the Venezuelan accent because it's just how my brain likes to tell stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, gosh, that was a long-winded answer to get to, you know, in the middle of all my auditions that were like theater and film and PSAs and commercials and whatever you could get your hands on that was legal to pay the bills, I auditioned for video game stuff. I did Max Payne 3 and GTA 5. Those are Rockstar
That's Grand
games.
Theft Auto. For those of you that,
Grand Theft Auto 5.
It still does not explain anything for people that aren't. I love.
Who
Grand
did you
Theft
voice on Grand Theft Auto? Please.
Her name is Taliana Martinez. She's a driver you can hire for heist.
Love
and you can't play her, but you can use her as a pawn. And you only come upon me in certain parts of the game. So some people have never.
I found you.
You played GTA?
I'm a huge gamer. I love gaming, and I played GTA for hours. And then you told me where to find you. I don't know.
Kat
if you
almost
remember.
choked on her tea or whatever because
Wait,
I don't
you're
think
a gamer?
she knew you were a gamer.
What are you talking about, Joanna?
Joanna keeps her geeky shit to herself.
Is this the same
she's
like Joanna?
In the closet with her nerd shit.
I do. But here's the thing.
What?
I don't like first person shooters.
Right.
And for people that don't play video games, that's like when sort of you're playing a character and you're seeing everything through their eyes. And
you
like
embody
a shooting
them.
Game.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I like playing God. I like seeing my little character.
So you like playing The Sims. You definitely played The Sims. Okay,
I did.
Okay.
And I was like kind of psychotic in The Sims. I put them in a pool and then
Who wasn't? I remember surrounding my Sims with fireplaces. In an empty room with fireplaces. And you can only guess. Joanna, I don't know, but this is why we have a podcast together. Anyway, Gato.
This is true.
So apparently,
did you burn them down with all the fireplaces? That's
they
creepy,
died.
dude.
I think that especially when you were a kid, it's like you have so little control over anything, and then you had these games where it was like, wait, I can be a fucking roller coaster tycoon. I can, I can have my own Six Flags
tycoon.
Like that's where my love.
I love that
of
you
video
said
games
when you're
happened.
kids, we have no control over everything. Over anything. As adults, we have no control over. As actors, we have no control over anything.
That's true, and that's why I've fallen in love with video games, and I play video games quite regularly. And it's funny because I've been talking to my therapist, and one conversation I had with my therapist, I was like, I've been trying meditation, and I've been trying mindfulness, and it's just like not working for me. And he's like, well, what does relax you? And I was like, honestly, video games. And he's like, then keep playing video games. What are you doing?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And it's like there's this it's a difference from watching TV and seeing a character to
It's
like
passive.
you are this character.
Yeah.
You become this character.
Yeah.
It took me a while to understand that interactive. It's interactive. Literally, you are active while watching a show is passive. And I think that that's what I didn't understand when I started working in video games is when the fans fall in love with the character. If it's a first person shooter, it's because they become you in first person. So they basically embody these characters and they feel like they're them and they know them better than I do, even though I voiced them. And so there's this connection to them because you're playing as them, you know? So I guess, yeah, I was still in New York City. I was auditioning for, I did a lot of voiceovers in New York, but stupid commercials that I hated, like radio commercials for Publix. But in Spanish, it has to be. But no, and they would tell us it had to be Publix with an O, not Publix, Publix. Publix, donde comprar es un placer.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes
I did a lot of Publix.
sub.
I did McDonald's. I did Burger King. I did Gillette. I did so many
Ay, Dios
commercials.
mío.
Yeah, those helped pay the bills a little bit. But then I got this audition for this character that was like Jessica Jones, sort of like she was sarcastic and like a little jaded and but really smart. And you know, she was a Mexican hacker. And I auditioned with an accent like this. But then I'm like, most of these people don't really know what the difference in the accents are, because I would always get auditions for Mexican, Puerto Rican, Guatemalan. Like, it didn't matter. You know, they weren't really monitoring the accent. So I threw in a New Yorican accent in there just in case they liked, J-Lo as a Mexican hacker. But they did book me. And I remember recording and not really understanding what the heck it was. Oh, this might be big. I guess I knew Blizzard Games did important things. I'd heard of Diablo and World of Warcraft, but like Overwatch was a big deal. I just hadn't really understood. So then when my character was launched, she came a little bit after the game came out. They did this huge reveal at BlizzCon, and I got to go. And then I was like, oh my God, this is big, because everybody. So this is one of the first video games who has characters from all over the world. So we have an Egyptian, a Pan-Arab character, a Nigerian, Australian, American, Mexican. I'm the only Latina for now. French, you name it, like from all over. And it's kind of awesome because people have felt very represented by this game, and all the accents are right for the countries that they're from. And so everyone's just like, I've never had this experience. And because you play online, people connect, and they might get thrown into a match with somebody from Kuwait, Argentina, South Africa, and Colombia, and the US. So then all of a sudden when I meet these fans, they're like, oh, I have a friend in Australia. And I'm like, how do you, oh, right, you met online, So all these people, all of a sudden, I think like it sort of has helped people understand different cultures, because they're meeting people that they would never connect with otherwise. Like an American kid in Milwaukee is playing with somebody in Kuwait. That's crazy,
It's great.
So even though gaming has this weird component where people might play for hours on end and you might become addicted, I also feel like these first person shooters have connected the world, and kids that are particularly shy or might have social anxiety disorders. A lot of people on the spectrum, love these video games. So I meet a lot of these fans because they play the games and they want to meet the voices. And I've just kind of understood the world of gaming in such a different way. Like I didn't understand it at all, And I feel proud too that the one character that makes me travel the world is super smart, super good at what she does. She's funny, she's witty. Her outfit isn't like overly bodacious, boobylicious. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Most female video game characters.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I
never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most female video game characters are like clearly made by a man. It's like the boobs to like waist ratio makes no sense. She'd be dead.
Totally.
But
the cover of GTA 5 is a chick in a bathing suit.
Yes, but
with a few other dudes.
Your character Sombra is this like badass with like her hair shaved on the side, and she has this like crazy suit, and it's like this like strong female character that isn't hypersexualized.
No.
Well, the cool thing is all the female characters in Overwatch, besides like the abilities they have, they also have like a career path. So I was in IT and I'm a hacker. One of them is a biologist. They're all in STEM. So all the female characters and the dudes, of course, too, but it's weird to say this for female characters in video games. They're all really smart, and yeah, some are a little bit sexy, but they also are very empowered and confident, and they have all these cool abilities. Like I have an electromagnetic pulse, and I have invisibility powers, and I can freeze everybody's power when I hack them. Like it's kind of awesome and magical.
Yeah. And Jenny, you've been to way more like cons meaning Comic-Con or BlizzCon or StanCon or BandCon. I just made those last
all the
few
cons.
I'm sure they exist. But these conventions, like I'd never been to a convention before Comic-Con before. Well, no, I went to VidCon. That's like the YouTube Comic-Con, but it's
that's
very
an
different.
Experience. Anyway.
That's just a bunch of teenagers thinking that they're Brad Pitt.
Well, they kind of are. Even though, but you went to San Diego Comic-Con, and even San Diego's different to like other cons where you're meeting, because San Diego and New York are just like monsters.
It's like
so
OP.
Yeah.
What's OP?
It's overpowered.
What does that?
It's a video game term, Joanna.
How dare you? I come out as a nerd on this podcast, and now you're using your like advanced nerd words on me.
So we're gonna have to nerf or buff you, Joanna, because that's
nerf or buff.
Yeah,
guys.
Nerf.
Is this becoming sexual? I don't know what's going on here.
That's hilarious. No, I had to learn those too, dude. I'm on stage and they're like, do you think Sombra needs to be nerfed? She's a little OP. And I'm like, what are they talking about?
That's so funny.
Powered is OP. And when they buff you, they give you like more power. And when they nerf you, like a Nerf gun, they're going to kind of lessening your power.
Bring you down a couple notches.
Yeah. Wait, is this terms in video games that are now used in real life? Or is like
I use it in real life.
Oh,
I'm like, whatever situation, I'm like, that's like OP as hell. Like that's
OP.
I mean, I use it.
Guess like video game vernacular, video game.
There's a lot.
That world seeps into like quote unquote general culture.
Yeah,
but that's so interesting.
Fans used to ask me, "Oh, what is it that you say in your alt?" And I'm like, "What's my alt?" Alt is your ultimate power. And so every time in Overwatch, and even in Valorant, it's another game I work on as a Brazilian bombs expert. When you're using your ultimate power, there's a voice line that comes with it so that the other characters know it's going down. Yeah. And mine is apagando las luces.
Yes.
Turning off the lights.
I was waiting for it.
Right. So it's my ultimate. And then they're like, what do you say in your ult? And I say, turning off the lights because I'm about to hack you guys. And then Raises, who's the Brazilian, she goes, here comes the party. And she's like, going to bomb the crap out of you. So when fans hear the ult, they almost have like a visceral reaction because it's like in game, they know they're going to die or they're about to kill somebody. So it's like, it's reminding them of what happens while their adrenaline is mad high. It's crazy.
Wow. I would love to read a study on like the psychology of gamers, and because you just said something so interesting, which is when I watch TV, I feel what the characters are feeling. I get excited, whatever. But when I'm playing a video game, my anxiety levels, my like adrenaline, I actually feel like I am, fighting a divine beast. Like I actually feel those things. Like,
well, that's why I find it weird that you find it relaxing to play video games. I get very stressed playing.
But it depends what kind of games, Caro.
That's true.
Okay, Jenny, what games do you play? And I'll come out and say what games I play. And you got
you nerds. I love it.
Because I've been gaming since I was a kid, but I would get really competitive to the point that like, yo no me sentía bien. I would get really upset at like the boss levels of like Super Mario and stuff, right? Now I'm always a Nintendo girl at heart. I'm like very, I love Nintendo. Pero when I gave up video games for a good chunk of my like 20s, I barely played games. And I think that was because I was hustling so much at that time. And because I know I kind of have like an addictive personality with games, I was like, if I start going back to video games, I'm never going to get work done. And this is obviously pre-ADHD diagnosis. Pero the pandemic changed everything for me. Now, before I go into that, my husband's a huge gamer, and I've been with him for like 15 years. So I watched him always playing Overwatch and Mass Effect and Call of Duty and all of that, right? And I always appreciated it. Like I tried playing The Last of Us for a little bit and it gave me too much stress. It gave me too much stress. But I loved watching him play it because again, it's such a fantastic story. The acting is great. But it wasn't until the pandemic that everything shut down and everyone started playing Animal Crossing.
I feel like that's the, what is it they call pot, the entry drug? What's the word? The
it's
the gateway.
like it's a gateway drug of gaming
gateway
right
drug.
now.
I think Animal Crossing.
I want the
tell you.
audience to know that Jenny came closer to the mic and was like, and everyone started playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It was like this thing. Yeah.
Let me tell you, Animal Crossing got me and my friends through so much during the pandemic. And then, again, my best friend, Carla, who I've interviewed before, she works in gaming. She's a big indie gamer. So she introduced me to a lot of, like, really cute indie games, you know, like Super Meat Boy. And pretty much all the games that I'm playing now outside of Animal Crossing are her suggestions, like Ooblets, Spiritfarer.
These sound amazing. They also sound like stores that sell candles.
And you're hilarious. I don't know any of these guys. I love working in video games, and I am a terrible and horrible is terrible gamer. So yeah, no, I haven't heard of them. Sorry.
Yeah, they're so cute and they're so relaxing.
Okay.
So those help me unwind.
Me and Jenny have very different tastes on different things, like where we like to live, like music. Like we don't have the same taste, and we're proving it again with video games, because I like the most high stress bullshit. I
weirdo.
Like open world games where it's like you have 2 minutes to kill the evil robot or you will die. I love Assassin's Creed. Breath of the Wild, Red Dead Redemption, Last of Us.
Oh, I'm in Red Dead too.
You're in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Joanna's
Guys, she's
freaking out.
fangirling.
Oh my God, I love Red Dead.
Yeah, it's a good one.
amazing.
The acting is phenomenal. Yeah.
I love watching the games, pero coño, do they stress me out? Even Luigi's Mansion stresses me out. I'll
You
play
were hysterical.
Mira, me da una cosa.
That's so funny.
I get
also,
really upset.
It's like what is very funny is like Luigi's Mansion, like everything to do with Mario is so childlike. It's like, oh my God,
Girl,
I got
no.
killed.
Open up, play one of the old Mario games and get back to me.
Wait, which one?
Oh my God, how do I, like, fucking any of the original Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, they were stressful, but like, damn.
You guys are killing me.
Mira,
This is
no.
hilarious.
They were like, you gotta play like Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2.
I opened up this conversation.
You did.
Yeah,
I like
no.
all of those. Pero
Any
como
water
que-
level in Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong was
Continue.
very stressful. The timing, I don't like the ones where there's a time limit and it starts like. That's why I like open world, because you can
Take
sort
your
of
time.
do your own adventure and
Or die.
or
I
die.
get lost. I have a horrible time. I love Zelda, pero coño, do I get lost?
Zelda's
Pero coño.
incredible. Pero coño. But it's interesting because there's so many different types of video games. There's like different buckets for each one, and
Yeah.
like open world is you choose your own adventure sort of. Then there's the first person shooter, which is like very interactive. You go online and you what's the one called that everyone was playing forever? Fortnite.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. That stressed me out because real people were judging me.
Well, first person shooter too, like you are playing with other real people and they're like,
Yes.
so it can get very toxic. Hey, what the heck are you doing? And then bad words come. I would get very toxic too, because I would get so stressed out. I'd be like, F you. Like, not good for my blood pressure.
Have you had any instances where like weird moments with fans, like where you're like, oh wow, whoa, like this is strange. This is a strange. Because like
No.
I feel like with movie stars, there's this like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. Like but YouTubers and I think voices in video games have a similarity, which is people think they know you more than what they do.
Ish. I mean, look, a lot of the gamers that I meet are really, really sweet. Like the fan base isn't. I think if I worked on The Walking Dead, it might be a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? Like these are gamers that just love the characters, and for the most part, it's like they might just get really nervous, or they'll start crying, or they're just. Oh my God, I had this one guy. He was like a 35-year-old dude, and he was like, I just want to thank you because it's so cool to see ourselves represented. I'm Mexican, and I'd never seen a character like me, and my mom watches me play, and like the least expected guy to be like getting all teary-eyed. So I hug him, and he's just like, thank you for representing Latinos in such a positive way. Like for the most part, it's just, I mean, they're coming to meet me, right? So they're excited. They have stories. They talk about how they used to play with their dad and their dad passed. So now Overwatch has a special meaning for them. Or like there are a lot of really emotional stories. You know, there was this one woman who had postpartum depression. And so her husband was like, I'll take the baby for 2 hours a day and you can play Overwatch and, you know, find some joy, because she was just dealing with some really tough stuff. And when I met them, the baby's 1 year old and she's doing great. And like, you know, so we hear all sorts of stories. I've, you know, I put my autograph on someone's arm and then they tattoo it, which is, you know,
That's
a little bit strange.
Wild.
Yeah. But for the most part, they're just really freaking sweet. And they have, you know, wonderful stories. I mean, some are really sad stories, you know, about death, or they were suicidal, but Overwatch helped them because they made friends, or they would watch our videos. And so yeah, maybe they feel like they know us. You know, that video where you were eating cupcakes with all the other girls, like I laughed so much. And so, you know, that's kind of their connection to us. And I keep my personal life very private, so I don't share a lot of that on social. So they don't really know, you know, really personal things, but I share so much. Like in the pandemic, I just did a video for my YouTube channel where I was like, guys, I don't know what this COVID thing is. We don't know when it's going to end. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you if you're stuck at home alone and you are loved and like you are cared for. And it was just kind of like trying to reach out to anybody who is feeling depressed or suicidal or anything, because I know that our fan base, you know, feels that a lot. So, you know, and that video did really well. And the comments are like, thank you so much. Because I think they sometimes imagine that we're living this perfect life wherever we are. And it's like, no, we're all going through hell. And I want you to know I'm going through hell as well, but I'm sending you love wherever you are, you know? So it's just about connecting the community.
It's interesting because, you know, at the beginning of the concept of entertainment, when movies and TV were on, like, these people that people would consume or watch were so unattainable. Yeah. They were like gods. They were, you know, like Greek gods that you would hear these horrible, crazy stories about. And then it was like, oh my God, this is wild, but like, I'm never going to see one in person. This is mythology.
Or you'd see pictures that only paparazzi would take, or only on a red carpet.
Yeah,
so
you
didn't see them in a natural habitat.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's like, I feel such a similarity to the world of gaming. You feel very connected to the characters, but then also this like element of playing online with people from everywhere, and you're connecting to people everywhere. Like I play, I don't want to brag, I'm honestly incredible at Mario Kart.
I saw your Instagram story recently, and guess what, girl? So am I.
Oh my God, let's play against each other, Jenny. I will race you.
Who do you usually race? Who do you usually race as?
I use Ludwig. I always use a motorcycle, a small wheel, and then just the parachute.
Okay, so now we found some common ground. I do Black Yoshi, and as I lovingly call Bloshi, and it's always a motorcycle with a small wheel.
Finally, we find something we have in common, Jenny. Wow. That is other than being a Latina in the States that does comedy online and does voiceover and has a podcast. But like, it's interesting how, you know, a lot of what you're telling me, I really resonate with also in the like online space, the making videos online, which you also did. But it's this accessibility to the people that make what you consume has like even the playing field, not only in, we're like what you just said, like I'm also going through shit. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to like express these things to you. But these people see us. And I mean, I'm putting myself in here as if I was like, you know, if I went to a con, I went to a fucking VidCon and only 3 moms stopped me. So let's
Joanna, you have a great following on YouTube. So yes, of course we understand. Yeah.
But like, I think there's this feeling of, we are more alike. You are like me. I literally play you. Yeah. It's not this Greek god persona. It's this
we're that's accessible.
Yeah. That's what's great about the conventions, because obviously the internet has made things a lot more accessible as well, but conventions allow people to meet their heroes, and that's, let me tell you, like for me, meeting my voice acting heroes in my early 20s at the South Florida conventions really are what changed my life and inspired. I'll never forget, like I met Rob Paulson, who we're still friends today, and we took a photo and he hugged me and he was like, I hope we work together someday. Now granted, I have yet to work with him, but I am a voice actor and I have voiced on many animated shows, and and it's like, it's weird to think about. And that was aside from cosplay, that was the main thing I would go to conventions for, were to go to the voice acting panels.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
To meet
Jenny.
my like animation childhood heroes, yeah.
Yeah, and it made it more accessible. It's like these people are here in front of me.
And they all gave me advice, yeah.
One of the things that I find crazy is that being Sombra or Rays gives us this power that I didn't understand. So when fans come up and want advice, they're not listening to Carolina. They're listening to Sombra give them advice. So if I can tell somebody is a little self-conscious about whatever, and especially teens, they're hiding their little pimples with their hair or whatever, and I'm like, you're so beautiful, follow your dreams. Sombra said I was beautiful. What?
They hold on to that, and it's very important.
Just recently, a fan in Stockholm I'd met 4 years prior, and he was wearing his glasses really proudly, and he's like, "Hi, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Remind me your name." And I said, "You look great with those glasses on." He goes, "That's what you said to me 4 years ago." And he'd written me this message on Instagram that was like, I feel very self-conscious about my glasses, but you told me I looked great in them, and thank you so much. And here, 4 years later, he's remembering that I had complimented that. And so he's wearing them proudly, like it doesn't matter. And he did look really cute in the glasses, so I wasn't making it up, but like Sombra said this and he held on to that, and it's really special. It's like our characters come with power. And so I want to use that for the greater good,
But I think it's really interesting that it's you are the character. So, you're not you're at a con representing yourself. But to a certain extent, you're still playing the character. Like you are making the character through you. Like you're filtering yourself through your character.
Yeah, and like I don't talk as her, right? So like I'm not talking like Sombra the whole time. But and I mean, they know that. They know that it's not like those soap characters where they're like they think you're the evil queen and they treat you like crap because when people think that like you're
happens,
that character.
I know. Oh my god.
So and because I also do Rays or they know that now I'm on Hamster and Gretel, they understand like I'm not those characters. But because they spend so much time with Sombra and love her so much, it comes with weight, One thing that I wanted to mention that I found so interesting that I discovered recently was in New York City. I was there for 10 years and I was auditioning for film and TV all the time. And anytime I'd audition, like I said, for the Rodriguez, Perez, Ramirez characters,
oh my
usually like it was the the mobster wife, like I said, prostitute, cleaning lady, illegal immigrant of some sort. Like it was always that, and I was never getting cast because I didn't look the type, right? So I kept trying to audition for white characters, right? Like the Sally Smith, but I wasn't white enough to play that, and so. For a while, it was funny because I was white passing. I was like trying to fit into those roles because I wasn't getting cast as the illegal immigrant anyway, right?
Right.
But in video game and animation, as soon as like I put this accent on and it doesn't matter what I look like,
that's it.
They want that sound. They don't want the look. They want the sound.
Girl, I feel that so hard.
Me too.
I
feel
I love
so
voice
hard.
acting.
But the funny thing is now I am really proud. Like a lot of my characters on animations, Victor and Valentino and Loud House or Casa Grande is like all those, and obviously Hamster and Gretel are all Hispanic with a slight accent or a slight whatever, or we throw in some Spanish. And I recently got asked like, do you want to just play Hispanic characters in animation? I'm like, I don't just want to, but if that's what I end up doing forever now, I'm actually happy about it because we are representing our people and they care that they sound authentic. Yes. And I'm actually getting cast as something that I'm proud to play instead of trying to pass as the white person.
Absolutely.
And so now film and TV is like creating characters that are super complex and more diverse and three-dimensional. So we're not just auditioning for the illegal immigrant.
It's still a struggle though, I will say, because I mean, you're in LA también, you know how it is. Like, I think you and I are very similar. We both have like similar body types. We're tiny Latina women.
We don't
white
have
passing.
big things.
Yeah. We don't, tú sabes, we don't look like Sofia Vergara in terms of like our body type, like what Hollywood continues to make women think they have to look like. And so, but then just like you, even though I'm white passing, the way I talk and my attitude is not quote unquote white. And so then no one knows what the hell to do with me. And so voice acting has been, I always say this. I mean, I love acting on camera. That's always going to be something I'm always going to aspire to continue to do. And that's why I love having at least the YouTube outlet, right? Pero if I could be a voice actor for the rest of my life, I wouldn't mind that either. Because it is so, not just because of all the points you made that like it doesn't matter what you look like. It's also that it's actually a very welcoming, down-to-earth community for the most part.
It's incredible.
I mean, even meeting you, I come from Miami, and I hate to say this, but in Miami it was very dog eat dog, like so competitive, especially amongst women. Everyone was out to get you. There was a lot of envidia. And meeting you, meeting Christina Milizia, like blessed, she's like one of the greatest voice actresses
so kind.
that I met on Victor and Valentino. She like gives me advice whenever, even the big guys like Carlos Alarraqui, who's like on Reno 911, and he's the voice of Rocco and the Taco Bell dog.
Hilarious.
I met him briefly because we worked on Victor and Valentino together, and like he'll give me advice, like I'll write him, like he's support, and I'm like, this is the voice of Rocco. This is my childhood. This man is a legend, just like Rob Paulson, just like all these like D. Bradley Baker, and
oh my God, D. Bradley Baker.
You would not think so. Yeah. Because they are so down to earth and sweet and kind, and you can tell like they're everyone in animation and video game, like we're all big kids. Yeah. Like we're all kind of, there's something that ties us all together and why we get into voice acting.
Well, the thing about voice acting is you have to be talented because it doesn't matter if you're beautiful, you know, it's how you sound. So like the people that are working are good at it, you know?
They're very good, and they also like every Tuesday for Hamster and Gretel, we get actors coming in, and you know we direct them in the show, and we've had, you know, D. Bradley Baker, who for those of you that don't know is this like eminencia in the voiceover community.
Oh
he's voiced like Chewbacca, like he's voiced everything.
He does creatures really well.
He does creatures really well, and I didn't realize this. And if I see him walking down the street, I would have no idea who he was.
No,
and I think that also como que adds to why people in animation tend to be down to earth is because it tends not to be as ego driven. You can walk down the street, people are not going to recognize you necessarily. Like you do it because you like the craft, and fame is different. It's different. It isn't linked to you as yourself, like walking down the street, getting, you know, people like, oh my God, are you the person that voices? Like I can't recall who voices SpongeBob, but like I know who he is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I know of him, but I can't pick him out of a lineup.
Yeah, it's only when you're at a convention, and that's where the nerds, you know, and the fans come and they know who you are because, you know, and then that's when you feel the love, and then you move on with your life, and then you just go grocery shopping like everybody else, and no one stops you. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
But isn't it crazy how you know, for Carolina's character on Hamster and Gretel, we had a lot of people audition.
I remember that.
And it was really hard because I wanted, you know, I wanted someone authentic. I wanted, ojalá, someone Venezuelan, but it was always difficult to find the perfect como que balance of someone that could do this and that. And we had a lot of people that did a lot of on-camera work. And what's interesting is that people that do a lot of on-camera work, you would think would translate well to voiceover, but it does not. It so deeply does not, because on-camera work can be so subtle. And in voiceover, you can be subtle, but you also need to just carry the whole performance with your voice.
Yes.
And when Carolina came to the audition, it was right after someone who was, she's an incredible on-camera performer. But like, I was like, man, this character's just like not singing for me. And then when Carolina came in, it was like, whoa, like every word has a lot of weight and has a lot of meaning and has a lot of personality. And I think that takes talent, and it also takes a lot of practice.
Well, you know, recording for Sombra at the very beginning, you do 3 takes, you know, and then the director goes, okay, well, let's try it again. This time, you know, we need a little more sarcasm at the top. And then at the end, she's definitely like, it's a jab. So then you're learning in one sentence. You start off a little bit coy, then you go into the FU, and then at the end you know, bring it up again for a joke or something. And so it's almost like you have to ride this wave in one sentence. And I learned a lot, especially from those Overwatch sessions, because Sombra is complex and she can be very biting, but she can also be funny, and she can also be like, so it's like, what are we choosing to do with this one line, not with this whole scene, with this line, she's saying this specific thing. And so you learn about specificity through voice, you know, and the body does come in, you know, when they tell you like, oh, you're going to do an eye roll. I roll my eyes so that it's like, oh, whatever. Like it comes through differently because you are embodying that too, you know, But it's a great experience to learn to be more specific. And you know what's funny is, since I've been doing conventions, one of my friends who helps me with on-camera auditions, she goes, Caro, your auditions have gotten better because your listening is so specific. And dude, I sit 8 hours a day at cons listening to fans. And a lot of them come up and are like, oh my God, I love Sombra, thank you so much. And so you're like, oh, great. But then I can be in this mode of everything's great. And they're like, I love you so much. And my dad died last week. So I can't just go, oh my God, that's great. Thank you. Have a good day. Wait, what? Your dad died? So, we listen, you know, like psychologists or like bartenders, you listen to people talk to you about something and you just have to be present, or else you're not going to give them a good experience as you respond. And so the more we're present in every moment, listening and just being aware of like subtle changes, because sometimes they might be like, oh, I like you so much, but you can tell they're holding back or something's happening. And so I go, you okay? No, and then they like, you know, so it's almost like we're paying attention to the very subtle shifts that fans have. And I think that also just translates to life. You know, we become more attentive to everything.
That's wonderful.
It's interesting to see you, and honestly, everyone in this conversation, we've known each other for at least 10 years, right? Like it's been a decade since we've sort of been in each other's lives. And the aspirations you have, you know, in your early 20s or mid 20s or whatever, whenever it is, and what life throws at you sort of makes you realize and maybe course correct. And it's like, I don't think when I met you, if I would have asked you, what do you want to accomplish in your life? I don't know if you would have said, I want to voice a major character in a video game. Like, I don't know if that's something you would have said.
No, because we think that the acting, in Spanish, we say el norte, the acting north, what we think we're supposed to achieve is maybe film and TV, you know, and that's love on-camera acting. I love scene work. I miss it. I want to do more of it. And, but also, you know, I think that I don't say I fell into voice acting, because you don't just fall into it. I worked very hard at it. I went to college. I hustled for 10 years, but it's a branch of acting that I didn't know had this amazing trajectory. And now I'm discovering it and I love it. So when Jenny, you say, you know, I could voice act for the rest of my life, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, like this makes me so happy. I just want to continue doing it. And if I do get to do film and TV, that's awesome. But I'm very happy in this world that is so inviting, so generous, can be so diverse. I can sound like so many things. Like, oh my God, recently, what's the one we did in Hamster and Gretel that I discovered?
Bayou Barb. She
like this old lady. She talking like this the whole time, you know? And dude, I would never sound like that in film and TV with this look. It's bizarre,
we wouldn't cast you as an 80-year-old Southern woman with like, you know, scoliosis. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I voiced your abuela, Joanna. Like,
oh my God. You know what's funny? Jenny voices the abuela in the series. And I remember the executives are like, so where did you get this lady? Like this assuming you were an old woman. And Dan had to be like, you know, this she's like 30. Like, this is a young woman. And she's like, they were like, no way. We thought this was like a mature woman.
You thought you grabbed like some abuela from somewhere? Like someone's abuela?
Someone's abuela.
Well, I remember people's reaction at the premiere party and like some of the writers, and Dan's like, oh, look, this is abuelita. And everyone was like, what?
Yeah. That's what's so cool.
And that I love that. It is truly the coolest. And then getting to show your range, and like, I'm so glad that, because I'm going to be honest, I got not insecure, but self-conscious at some point, because I was like, you know, Lupe on Victor Valentino kind of sounds like me, sort of abuela-like. And then I didn't want people to think, oh, Jenny can only voice this kind of character with this deep voice. So thankfully, I started booking like kid roles as well. And people are like, oh, she can voice a kid? What the hell? And so that's helped me a lot to have more confidence. And again, I think just like how YouTube has given all three of us this platform to showcase our talent when Hollywood execs, you know, are too far up their own asses regarding putting us all in boxes.
Yeah.
The voice acting is also very similar to me in that way. We get to prove how funny we are, how much range we have, and our skills as character actors through this medium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought about a little shameless plug, but it's connected. Mm-hmm. I produced a film in the pandemic. It's called Morgan's Mask, and it should be on streaming platforms real soon because distribution happened but it's taking forever. But when I read the script, I loved it. It was about a gamer and a cosplayer who's kind of dealing with her demons in the pandemic. And she has a sister that she talks to online often and a mom, obviously. And, my suggestion to the director at the very beginning was like, hey, can we make the conversations between the sister and the mom Spanglish? And it's mostly English because it is for, an English speaking audience, but we pepper in Spanish. And there's never this we're Latino and let me go make some tortillas and show you how I make my burrito. It's just I just wanted to show our lives, right? Like in Hamster and Gretel, we throw in some Spanish and the kids understand both languages, and maybe the mom speaks a little more Spanish, or with the sister, it's just ay, tú sabes que no sé qué, and then they go back to English. And so I just wanted, I don't see that enough in films, well, in indies anyway, where we're not explaining why we're Mexican, because that's the crux of most Latino shows is or what I feel like I see. And this was just me trying to say, hey, I can be a gamer and a cosplayer and also Hispanic American, and it's all, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's our way of contributing to showing our people in the world through Hollywood.
Yes, you're so right. Look how weird and funny and quirky and bizarre and evil and just all these funny things that you don't see in live action. And thank God, animation.
But it's also just so normal.
Yeah.
Also, few people know that when you get an actor to voice an episode, legally you get that actor for 3 characters. In other words, that actor comes in and then you can have them voice 3 different people in that episode.
Yeah. In that episode, yeah.
So you have to come prepared. You booked this character. You booked the abuela character. And then it's hey, can you actually do kid in the park and also monster next to alien? And it's
7.
You just got to do it.
Yes, that happens a lot.
And the best people are the people that are yeah, let's do it. I'll show you my versatility.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that oh my God, you looked so excited.
No, because my favorite thing that happened in Victor and Valentino was they called me in for this Queen Ant.
Yes.
And, I show up because I didn't audition for her. And I'm like, Diego, what do you want? He's like, oh, we want a Sofia Vergara sounding. And I'm like, I do this so much, And I was actually, what if, I got inspired from one of my gender neutral characters in my web series. And I was like, what if she talks like this, and she's very big? And for me, it was just kind of what if we make her sound so different that you don't expect it's going to be like this the whole time and I'm going to be Sofia Vergara,
Yeah.
But it's if we come in with a suggestion that they find more interesting, they're going to take it, And so I think that it's our job as actors to be creative and be instead of just, oh, sure, I'll give you what you want. Well, what about if she's like this,
Dude,
yeah.
I can't believe that Sofia Vergara thing happened to you because it happened to me twice.
Yeah.
One with the show I got a call back in, and one with the show I actually booked. It was a character, and they were like, it's Sofia Vergara, and I was like, ¿sabes qué? No. And I actually made her the opposite of Sofia Vergara. And she would just say really tragic things in this voice. And then I booked it.
So much funnier, which is so much funnier.
So why aren't you kids listening? It's why aren't you kids listening? I've had 1 hour of sleep. And I'm why are you kids listening? You had 1 hour of sleep. It's I've heard that second one a million times. I want to do it like this. And then once I started just doing whatever I wanted, I started booking stuff. And I think...
that's literally how it happens.
Yes.
But you know what? It's not hating on Sofia. I think she's really talented and a great businesswoman.
But that's her thing.
Hollywood has just assumed that all Latinos have to sound like that to be funny. And I think that it's so much more diverse than that. You know what I mean?
It's like saying every Jewish American needs to sound like Jerry Seinfeld because he's so successful.
Oh my God.
It's am I going to start talking like this? I shouldn't,
Well, what I appreciate though, what I've appreciated a lot, and granted, a lot of the shows that I've worked on, it's usually been white execs, with the exception of Victor and Valentino that had a massive Latino crew and creator.
Yeah.
But just like what Garo's saying, they'll throw random things at you. So Jellystone, I think, was the second show I ever booked after Victor and Valentino. So I didn't know what to expect. And I booked the one character, Bobby Louie, and then they were like, oh, what else do you have? And I'm now voicing 4 recurring characters on the show.
Yeah.
But what I love is that one of the characters is kind of like Abuela, but but she's more decrepit and viejita. But I love that this white guy was just yeah, fuck it. Make her this old Cuban lady.
Yeah.
And then they let me say Spanish things. And,
yeah.
And I think that's another thing I appreciate about animation is that it seems like a lot of the creators and showrunners and they are more open to that kind of diversity versus like in live action Hollywood, they're like, no, tone it down. Like no one's gonna get it. Like in general market shit. But in animation, they're like, oh yeah, like you want to play her like that? Go ahead.
Because for a while we would get Latino auditions. So let's say we book that, but then once I go in, I'm not going to make all my characters Latino. Like one character I do in Hamster Gretel is like Russian lady who very, very nice. But like, because I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall and then all of a sudden they like it, right? But I don't get those auditions. So it's in the room showing them, hey, we're,
Yes.
I asked this like big casting director a few years ago. I was like, if you had one thing to tell actors, what would you say? Like, what is an actor's job? And she said one thing, and it was make choices.
Oh, right.
And I love that, because that means this isn't make choices based on other people or what you think people want. Make choices you find interesting.
Your own ones,
and that is true in the VO booth and auditions, but also in life. You just got to make choices and see where you end up. And usually when you make choices, things happen. So
choices that are specific to you, right? That's the thing. We get caught up in thinking, oh, the choice they want. It's like, no, what's interesting to me? And that's where, even in voice acting, like in anything, it's just in any job in life, it's like the more we connect with our authentic selves. God, you've talked about this, Joa. The more you get specific about Venezuelan comedy and explaining that versus Latinos in general, the more specific we get, the funnier it is, and then we connect.
Yeah, because comedy, the specificity and comedy are very linked. Like if you have a joke and then you end it with a like, I don't care what you're saying, Susan. It's this funny thing where if you add a name at the end of like a tweet, it makes it funny because it makes it very specific. That's like an example.
Exactly. Oh my God, I was just gonna say the name thing. Like I love it when comedians go off and they're like, Barney, what are you doing? And I'm just Barney, like it's so funny. It's great.
It's like because you imagine it because it's specific. It feels like a real thing.
Yeah, you don't say you're eating chips. You say like the brand and the flavor.
Right.
That shit just makes it funnier. It just does.
Lay's papitas de limon, because those are my favorite. Lime chips. They're so good.
Damn.
Oh my God, this episode is sponsored by, it isn't. It is not sponsored by.
Well, maybe we can get a sponsorship.
Tell you, they should.
And I think that the big takeaway for me, for my friends, for anybody who's doing well at what their passion has been for so long is as soon as you connect your passion with the authentic you, that's how it's going to shine, right? The crazier I let myself be in animation, the funnier, the better it is. I wasn't doing that for film and TV auditions years ago. So it's like the more we just like start digging deeper into ourselves to see what's going to shine. And it all has to do with authenticity. Our half Cuban mother, our half, like whatever it is that we're bringing into the mix. When you make jokes about your Jewish intestine or whatever, Joanna, like that stuff is specific to you that I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't experience it, but that's why we're going to shine in what we do if we just connect to our most authentic selves, Wow. Embracing our inner weirdos.
Aikato, thank you for joining us. It was such a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.